Hello, 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 YouTube, and welcome back to another video. Today, I am joined by a dear good friend of mine. Maybe, I don't know. But you might know him as Slice of Anime. Say hello there.
Hello.
And
Yes, we are friends now, but at the end of this, we will see.
that is very true. It all really depends on what you think of the sequel trilogy. I
That
think
that's
that's
uh
gonna be the biggest thing.
that's gonna be the thing.
Yeah, as y'all can see, we will be doing a ranking of the entire Star Wars series, movies and shows. So we'll see how not accurate, how we get along with that, I guess, is what I'd say. So I guess we can just go in order. A New Hope. Did you go up with that one? Is that one you grew up on?
So I didn't actually get into Star Wars until like 2009-ish.
Oh,
So I it was something that I got into kind of late in my childhood. So my main thing that I grew up with was like somewhat the prequels, but mostly the Clone Wars.
okay.
But
Clone Wars kid.
I yes. So I enjoyed the original trilogy. I would probably put, if it was me, I would put A New Hope in like low A tier.
Low A tier. I'm with you there. I grew up. So, funny story for me is I actually got into Star Wars from the Lego games back on the GameCube. And for the longest time, that's all I ever knew of like the story and stuff was from those Lego games. And then I grew up with the Clone Wars on Cartoon Network. And it wasn't until probably like 2015 area around there that I actually went back and finally watched the original trilogy and the prequels, all the live actions. And I still love them, so but all my stuff was from the Legos and watching it during that time, I would agree with you. I'd say A New Hope would probably be low A. It's definitely a good movie and it really
Yeah.
goes through the like hero's journey pretty well.
Yeah, it like as a movie in general, it's very good. But as like a Star Wars movie, there's some I like a lot better than it. Like if I'm gonna pick a Star Wars movie to watch, it's not my favorite to watch, but it's not my least favorite to watch either.
Like this is one that you can just put on in the background while you're doing something else.
Yeah, like if I turn on like another one of the other ones we'll get into, like I'm gonna get invested in it and just stop whatever I'm doing and watch it. This one I could turn it on, but I'll probably not get super invested. I might check it out every so often, but it's just like it's good, but there is nothing like crazy about it.
Yeah, it's just a good movie. That nothing more, nothing
Yeah,
less.
yep.
Now comes the one that a lot of people would say is the favorite and the best Star Wars movie ever. Anything. The Empire Strikes Back. Where would you put that?
I would put it right above. Well, I want to say it would be
Hmm.
like high A tier actually.
High A. That's another one I'd have to agree with you on. I know a lot of people, they say this is the best one, this is their favorite one. But for me, I I think it's just another good Star Wars movie. It
Yeah,
really is. This is
yeah.
actually the introduction of Yoda, who's one of my probably my second favorite character in Star Wars. He's up there for me. I love Yoda. So I love all of his scenes in this, definitely. And then the duel on Cloud City with Vader and Luke, that one is undeniably a really good duel. One of
Oh
the
yeah.
best up there.
It's it's a much more like personal film. Like you don't really have like other than like Battle of Hoth, you don't have like these major battles. Like for like the overall like galaxy, nothing really happens. But like for Luke and Han and Leia, it's like a big character development movie, which is what the sequel trilogy really lacked. It needed one of those movies, but we never got it.
Very true, very true. And I actually never really thought about it like that. And there's a lot of times in when I'm watching media where I don't really dive that deep, and I never really looked at The Empire Strikes Back at that sort of angle before. That's actually a really good angle to view it from.
Because that was what I didn't like about it growing up, was because I liked the big space battles. I liked the big, like, there's a lot happening here. But then as I've got older, I'm like, yeah, but a lot happened in this movie, even though not a lot happened.
Like the story doesn't need to progress, but as long as like character like development and even just character story is there, like
Mm-hmm.
that's enough to keep me captivated and entertained.
For sure.
So that's why, like, when it comes to slow-born animes too, that's why I like appreciate them a lot more. Like Grimgar that I just got you to watch. I love how slow it is, and you can just really feel for the characters and just dive deep into them and get to like know the daily routines, life, the simple stuff. Makes you feel more connected.
Like Idolmaster.
No, no, no. Oh, next, this is honestly, I might say this is my favorite of the original trilogy, Return of the Jedi.
It is
Now,
my favorite as well.
now people say the first half is kind of slow with the first two failed rescue attempts for Han Solo, but I actually enjoyed all the Jabba stuff in the first like half quarter of the movie.
So, I'm not the biggest fan of the Jabba stuff, but the, like, last 2/3 of the movie are so good, like, in my opinion,
That
that
it just
over
blows that
it,
out the way.
yeah. Like, I'm like, yeah, the Jabba stuff's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But the second, like, I like the indoor stuff. I like the space stuff with Luke and Vader and the Emperor. That's so good that I'm like, I don't even. The Jabba stuff, if I'm like, I can sit through it as long as I know I'm getting to this other stuff. So I think this is definitely an S tier.
Yeah, 100%. Especially, it's just such an iconic scene where Luke throws his lightsaber away
Mm-hmm.
to right before he's about to cut Vader down. Like, is there another scene in movie history that can like really match that?
There's so many of those scenes in this movie too. Like, you have the funeral pyre for Vader, for where you see like the smoke of it goes up into the clouds and it transitions into the night sky and everything. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's just like iconic.
It really is, man. I know a lot of people don't like the Ewoks, but I didn't mind them. I thought it was like that's a part of Star Wars, the Ewoks.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have the little, I guess the fun stuff in there, which is them, and then you get the serious stuff with Vader and the Emperor and everything.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Like this
We're
movie,
agreeing so far, but I
we
know that will change.
probably because we both grew up like in the kind of prequel era. That's
Yeah.
something I've noticed. Depending on where you've grown up, you kind of have more, I guess, attachment. I don't know if that's the right word for the
It's
movies.
almost like the stuff that existed before you got into it, you kind of have an appreciation for it. But the stuff that you like were
That got you
there whenever it
into
came
it.
out,
Yeah.
then you were like, you have a split decision on it. You're like, did you like it? Did you not? You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Now comes, is this the most infamous one, or would that be the next one? I personally love this movie. Phantom Menace, I adore it. I would put this easy S tier for me.
tier. Man. I was gonna say B tier, maybe low A
B
tier.
tier. Man, like I get even as a kid when I watched it, I was so invested in the politics of the film. Like it was really interesting and it keeps me captivated. I enjoy every second of it. And then there's no need to talk about the duel with Maul at the end. Like I think that's something everybody can agree on is perfect about this movie.
But is it like, okay, take the mall fight. Is it better than, and I will get into it here in a minute, but is it better than the Anakin Obi-Wan fight?
Well, absolutely not.
Yeah. I see, I'm the same way. Like, everything in this movie, I think. Now, if I'm gonna, like, watch a prequel movie, the easiest one for me to watch all the way through is this one. I think it is a very fun film to watch. Uh,
I,
but it's probably my second favorite out of the three. And there's a big gap between the first and second one, like my ranking. So, what if we do high A tier? Or what if we went between Empire Strikes Back and A New Hope?
I think I can sit right with putting it in between Empire and A New Hope.
Because that's where it was in my ranking for a long time. And then recently I have moved A New Hope in front of it.
Um, See, I don't know if it's that I have a soft spot for it, but there's really the only thing I can point to about not liking in this movie is really just Jar Jar, like everyone else. But like I love the pod
Fair.
racing scenes. I do with more, yes. I love everything with the politics, and that's also why we'll get into it when we reach it. But the Clone Wars, like I love those episodes, and they dive into the politics of the world and everything. I don't know what it is, but Star Wars politics is the only politics I care about.
That's fair. Completely fair there.
Now I think this is something we can easily both agree on. Attack on of the Clones being the worst of the prequels.
I agree.
Now,
It is, it has like, it has, if you took some of the things, like everything that this movie does, either uh, a Phantom Menace does it better or Revenge of the Sith does it better. Like, if you want to have a big battle scene, Revenge of the Sith does it better. If you want to have politics or like a good, like, just heartwarming story, Phantom Menace does it better. Like, I mean, nobody's here for the romance in this movie. It's not very good.
I'm a huge romance guy, and even I agree with that. Now, I will say, despite that, I do still enjoy this movie a fair bit. And that's really because of the Obi-Wan stuff and everything on Geonosis. All of that is just so good. The mystery behind the clones and everything, him being like a detective and stuff, that's all so good. It just gets so dragged down though by Anakin and Padme's stuff that it's so
hmm
hard to rank this movie as high as I would like to rank it because of the actual good stuff in it.
Now, I would put it in C tier though, at the least. Maybe low B even. Uh,
I
it's either
would put
high
it
C
in,
or low B.
I would put low B on it just because ah, I I'll get to what I want to say about the sequels when we get there.
Well, the sequels and some of the TV shows we know are gonna be below this.
Yeah,
So, like, we'll get there.
but the worst prequel movie, low B for us. But Obi-Wan was great in this. Loved him. Introduction of the clones. Loved the clones. Easily, Clone Wars era is my favorite. They're just so cool. Man, I love the clones so much. Um, you know what? let's go jump ahead a little bit. Let's do the Clone Wars movie and series first before Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, so
Cause
we're gonna do the movie first.
yes. Now,
Okay,
this
the
movie
bottom.
D tier. Really?
yeah, I just like I've tried to rewatch it, and I love the Clone Wars series. The movie is like there's a few like iconic moments that I'm like I could watch this on a clip on YouTube and it's great. But rewatching the whole thing, you're like, this is so bad.
I
like it's just boring. and so it's like uh the the uh the first arc is fine. The planet they're on whenever Ahsoka comes in. That
Christophsis.
one's yes, that one's fine. But
When they
the
go
out
rescue Jabba's son, I would
yeah,
probably agree with you there.
it just falls off so much. because you think like, oh, we're gonna have like a few learning lessons with like Anakin and Ahsoka. You get like one other one, and then the rest of it is making jokes about how this little baby squid thing smells bad.
You know, thinking back on it now, the second half of the movie where they're rescuing Jabba's son could have been a lot better given if they focused on Anakin a bit more in it, just because of what Tatooine is to him.
exactly. Like if this would have been a plot line in season 3, it'd have been great. Like they would have done some really good stuff with it. But this was back whenever like
They
they weren't
literally just
quite
took two
sure.
arcs together and smashed them into a movie. That was
Yeah,
it.
and they weren't as brave in season 1 and 2. Like season 1 and 2, they're very much like this is a kids show, and then in like season 3, they're like, and well, into season 2, they're like, okay, these kids are growing up. Let's give them some violence and some hard hitting plot lines now.
Man, I would put it low C though, just because the first half is really good.
I could agree with that because here's the thing. I don't think there is a lot that's D tier. Even the worst on this list, I only think there's one or two that's like D tier. I don't think there is a ton of like truly awful movies and series. I don't think there is.
I would agree with that. Like 2 to 3 and D is probably what I'd have there as well. But moving on
So
to peak though, the peak of
yeah,
Star Wars, the greatest of all, easy best thing ever, easy
I can
yes.
agree with that.
I
I'd
can.
probably put Return of the Jedi over it, but I will agree and I'll let you put it there because it's it
There's
is really good.
just so much, so many episodes, so many arcs that I can point to that are just so good, so heavy, I guess pun intended. It just it hits so many of the right notes. Like, yeah, there's bad episodes in this series, no question about that. But the great episodes are just so great that the bad episodes they don't even matter, man.
Mm-mm. I agree. Like even like the ones that aren't great, like take like a mediocre episode,
Lightsaber
like
Lost.
yeah, or like what I was thinking was is remember Jedi Crashed where they crashed the
I love
uh
that arc. I love that arc.
yeah, it is like if you compare it to like say a season 6 or season 7 episode, it's not that good, but it's still really good even then, like because you're getting like a little lesson and then a good story then. And you're like, man, that was a good episode.
Like, I feel a lot of people point to obviously Umbara and then Siege of Mandalore. Obviously, those are great. I love them. But in Arc, I don't think it's talked about enough because I don't see people. But then again, I'm not really into the Star Wars side of like Twitter and all of that. But The arc with Fives at the end when he discovers Order 66 is just so good. There are a few
Hmm.
instances where, despite knowing the outcome, every time I rewatch it, I am hoping for something different to happen. I can only point to probably like two other instances besides this one where I am just so desperate, hoping that something is gonna change despite it not happening. Like that arc is just so good and heartbreaking, and I think it pairs really well with Umbara and showing like how good the clones are.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. It that one is one of my favorites, and then another one that I don't think was talked about, kind of in that same line, is the opening of season 3, to where you have the clone cadets and the I think it's ARC Troopers is the name of the episode. But
Yes.
where they attack Camino.
Oh yes, I
Not very
already
many
know what you're
people
going with
talk
that.
about it, but it's so good.
It is, and the only thing I see people talk about it from those episodes is 99, and for good reason though.
Hmm.
He is the heart of those episodes. It really is. Like Umbara took the best parts of those episodes for like showing the closeness of the clones and just made it even better. But though that was like the first signs of like, oh, this is something more than just what we were getting before.
And another thing is like take the you remember the Mon Cala arc in the opening of season 4?
I
Like
I didn't like that arc at first when I first watched it.
it's not the best of the opening arcs, but like take Rebels, which I like Rebels, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But like when they would go to like a planet, they would do like barren landscape, but you know it's this planet because the characters tell us it's this planet, and you can see objects in the background that you're like, oh, I know this place. And they were kind of hesitant to do like major animation things. But here, like with Mon Cala, they went underwater. They're having like all the characters in new outfits. They're all swimming, which is all new animation that you got to do. Like they went all out with the animation on this series when they really didn't have to, but they were like, "No, we're gonna do it."
That's one thing that's always bothered me with Rebels, just the drastic jump between just the styles and animation. It made it so hard to get into the Rebels because of that force for me.
I kind of agree.
But one thing that I really love about the Clone Wars and why I have it so high is just because of what it does for the prequel trilogy as a whole. It expands it so well, so amazingly that I can appreciate every prequel movie so much more than I could without the series.
I agree. Like I was like, whenever I first watched the prequels, I was really like, "These are good." And then I watched the Clone Wars, and I was like, "Oh, that's Anakin." And I went back and watched the prequels, and I was like, "That's Anakin. I know him. He's cool." Even though he's not real, there's moments in the prequels where you're like, he's not that cool. He's kind of bad. But then you go back and you're like, no, he's cool.
Yeah, it just sucks that there was only so much you can do with a limited one time of a movie. You couldn't really see
Yeah.
that. The best we get of Anakin that resembled him in the Clone Wars was the opening scene of Revenge of the Sith.
Oh yeah. Well, and I guess is that the next thing we're gonna get into is Revenge of the Sith.
Mm, I think it's a good segue.
I Revenge of the Sith is by far the best prequel.
Easily, no question
Yeah.
about that.
Like if you watch like even the people that are like kind of not prequel fans, and they're older people, they grew up with the original trilogy, and they're like, I don't like the prequel trilogy. Even they will be like, but Revenge of the Sith is pretty good.
Yeah,
And I think that means something.
yeah, Revenge of the Sith just has this is this the most action-packed Star Wars movie?
Probably so.
There's just so much going on. You know, you have the Battle of Coruscant at the beginning, then you got Obi-Wan versus Grievous in the middle, Anakin versus Obi-Wan at the end. Like, there's just so much going on, but it's all so well done. I think it is. And
I agree.
say what you want about actor choice, I enjoy Hayden Christensen as Anakin. I thought he did
Oh, I think he's
really
great.
well. Stop, Hazel. Sorry about that. I personally would have it above the Clone Wars just because of everything the Clone Wars does for this movie.
I'll give it that because I think if it was my ranking, I would have Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith swapped. But I'm kind of letting you have a few things in hopes that you'll let me have something here in a minute. But we'll get
Oh,
to that.
okay.
But yeah, I'll agree with that.
See, it's just when you go to the later arcs of the Clone Wars and then you just see the big hints of what's leading into Revenge of the Sith, it's just so hard to not appreciate this movie more, especially when you get to the Siege of Mandalore and then you get into the Bad Batch and all of that too. Like it makes Order 66 so much more impactful in this movie as well. It's just all the other shows help make Revenge of the Sith like the best of Star Wars for me.
I agree.
One thing
Uh,
I desperately want them to do is remake Revenge of the Sith in Clone Wars animation. Cause God, seeing those scenes in like the Siege of Mandalore and the Bad Batch, I need it. I need it.
yeah, I mean, we got the one shot of Grievous, and Grievous looks cooler in animation than he did in even live action, to be
I
honest.
know, dude. It makes me mad, not mad, but sad that we couldn't get more. Like if imagine we got the Crystal Crisis arc animated for season 7 as well.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that would have been so good. But going back to Avenge of the Sith, like I just think I have no negatives to say about this movie. I love everything. Probably the best opening in any movie ever with the Battle of Coruscant. You have if not the best battle in all of Star Wars, if Obi-Wan versus Anakin as well. Order 66, I would say, is at least the second most emotional moment, at least for me.
it's
Like,
up there. It's up there for
like
sure,
this just
especially with
has
how much has been expanded upon it.
exactly. I mean, this movie just keeps getting better and better with how much they add into the Star Wars universe. That I don't anything lower than at least anything lower than S is criminal. It's just criminal.
Oh, I agree. I agree, 100%. Those would be the three that I would. Well, I might put one more in S tier, but we'll get to it later. But those would be those three. I definitely would have an S tier.
Moving on to I think was what you're thinking is gonna be our most controversial ones or our biggest disputes we're gonna have here.
There's going to be one controversial one.
One controversial one is the first one, the controversial one.
So, The Force Awakens is. Hang on, let me think.
Hmm.
It is, if you just include the main nine, it is my third favorite movie.
Your third favorite.
Yep.
Wow.
Uh,
S-
and my reasoning is because every character in it is so well done, and then it's ruined past this movie, but they're all so well done. You Because your first movie just
hmm.
kind of introduces them, gives us these concepts, and then we go off of it from there. Like take like the original
Hmm.
trilogy. You have Leia, which is kind of this princess, but she's kind of a you know woman in charge, and you kind of you can grow on that from the next movie. You kind of figure out, oh, she's got kind of weaker sides as well, and it builds on her. You got Han, which is like the hot shot, but he's got like a heart of gold. And then you got Luke, which is this very ambitious guy. You don't really build on him in your first movie. It's just kind of introducing him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Force Awakens is like perfect introduction. You have Rey, which I'll get into here in a minute. I'm gonna save her for last. But you have Finn, Stormtrooper, turned good, great introduction. Nobody debates that Finn was a great character.
Oh, no doubt about that. He is.
You have Poe, this hotshot pilot that thinks he's doing the right thing and then he messes up every time. You have Kylo Ren, which is like this Vader wannabe, but is so like can't be that, and he knows he can't be that. And then what is, if it's not my favorite character, she's my second favorite Star Wars character. I think Rey was perfectly done in this movie. Everybody says, oh, she was a Mary Sue in Force Awakens. But she needed to be a Mary Sue in The Force Awakens because they could have done so much more if they went from that. But, like, her introduction is perfect because she has all this power. That's kind of her thing. Because we've already gotten 2 arcs of, like, Anakin had to learn to be stronger to save his mother. He couldn't do it. Luke had to become stronger to save his friends, but then he learned he shouldn't become stronger because that's what his father did. Well, you need something different. So Rey's arc should have been, she doesn't want power. She just wants her family. And she has all this power, but people want her to do stuff with it, and she didn't want to. Like, she could have left Jakku anytime she wanted to, but she never did because she wanted her parents to come back for her, but they never did. And I think that's so good. Now, they didn't do anything with that, but that's not this movie's fault. And Starkiller Base is kind of stupid, I'll give it that. And if they were going to do that, they should have made it like a 3-movie thing to where it, like, got disabled or something, and then they fixed it for the 3rd one or something. I don't know. But, I mean, I just really like this movie.
For me, I think everyone would say, well, almost everyone, I do see some Last Jedi levels and The Rise of Skywalker's out there, but that's besides the point. But this is my favorite of the sequels, and despite the closeness to, like, of the story beats to A New Hope, I do really enjoy this movie. Now, that's actually something I've never thought about, nor have I heard anyone say about Rey. Like, I agreed with everyone where I didn't like how she was overpowered at the beginning and stuff. And I'm personally someone that prefers someone to grow and train to obtain something. But thinking it from the way you did, that's actually a really interesting thing to like take a story with. And
Well, and if they would have done this throughout all 3 movies, I think people would have
if
really been
only
like,
in
whoa,
hindsight,
that's
yeah.
such a good character.
But unfortunately, because they didn't, I can't say Ray is a favorite of mine at all with that.
She kind of
But
became my favorite in the lead up to The Last Jedi, and then Last Jedi, like, gave me hope because they sprinkled a few things in that I liked. They didn't do a lot that I liked. And then Rise of Skywalker just threw everything away. But
I'll say
we'll
my
get into
piece of the
that.
Rise of Skywalker when we get to it. But this movie, I'd probably have it pretty low on my list. I'd at least have the originals and everything except Attack the Clones above it, probably. But
I say
I think
low A, below A New Hope, or high B tier.
um I'd say hmm, I might put it above A New Hope just since it's more your movie. But I do.
I'll agree with that.
We'll put it
I'll
above A
agree with
New
that.
Hope, but I would disagree with putting it there.
That's fair.
Poor
I don't
Finn,
think the next
man.
2 we're gonna disagree with too much.
I I'm just gonna put them both on here already. Let me know if you
That
agree with
order,
that.
though? You think
That order.
Last Jedi is better than Rise of Skywalker?
The only reason is because I actually really adore the Battle of Crate. The
That's fair.
the end
The
battle I
only
love.
thing that the only thing that really makes me like Rise of Skywalker is one scene, and it's the scene with Kylo Ren or Ben Solo at that point and Han Solo. Such a good scene. It's like the one like shining star in this awful movie.
This movie had was the first time I wanted the villain to win. I wanted Palpatine to win so badly because I just did not care for this trilogy at all anymore at this point. Kylo and was really the only one I still cared about by the end of this trilogy.
Like you got to think like the problem is they made Force Awakens and then they made Last Jedi off of Force Awakens and then they made Rise of Skywalker off of The Last Jedi. They didn't make the sequel trilogy. They made one movie, then made another movie, then made another movie. None of them are connected at all.
It really doesn't help that they switched directors and everything too for The Last Jedi. So you have two completely different um I don't know what the word I'm trying to find is here, but each director has their own way of doing things. They have their own vision and stuff. And when it's like just the complete opposite of what the other director has, then you get stuff like this.
Random point. But did you ever read the script for Duel of the Fates?
I did not read it through myself. I've only ever seen like little bullet points about it.
So a lot of people are like, "Oh, that would have been great. That would have saved the sequel trilogy." I think that would
I
have been worse than what we got.
I would probably agree with that a little bit. I think there's some points in that in the script that I would think worked better, but I feel like a lot of it also wouldn't have worked. So I would
My
agree with
favorite
that.
thing was that Ray had a double-bladed lightsaber.
Dude, that would have been perfect for her.
I have no clue why they didn't give her that at the beginning of Rise of Skywalker, because in the end of The Last Jedi, the crystal is split in half. And I thought, oh, that's perfect. They're setting it up to where that crystal's broken, but she'll use one half for one blade and the other half for another blade. No, she just patches it. I'm like, that's stupid, but okay.
So where would you rank them then? How would you put The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker?
Honestly, the ranking we have now, I would just swap the Clone Wars movie and Rise of Skywalker.
Really?
Yeah, that would be my bottom three movies are Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi, Clone Wars movie. Now
Hmm.
they are, uh, I think there are TV shows that are worse than uh, all three of them,
We'll get to
but
that.
we'll get into that. Yeah,
Um, for the sake of this to as accurately represent how we feel, then I would do that.
that's fair. That's fair. Or I'll say if you want to put uh, Clone Wars above Rise of Skywalker, I'd be fine with that.
I will gladly take you up on that. Before we move on, though, I want to hear your thoughts about them bringing back Palpatine for this movie,
It's stupid. It was stupid. I mean, there was no reason because like you could
especially
have
with
brought
no
in
build up to it at all either.
no because like okay, imagine like Snoke in 8 refers to like my master or like you get like a strange radio signal that they can't pick up throughout the entirety of Last Jedi, and they're like hinting at something. Something is out here, and like maybe there's like Kylo is like, I killed Snoke, but everything is still operating. How is it all still operating? It should have fractured, but it's still going. Then you could have been like, we could have speculated for 2 years. Well, who's operating everything? Something's going on. And at least then it would have been like, maybe it's Palpatine. But no, they just threw it on us in the trailer. Like, oh, okay. Guess it's back.
Honestly, despite also finding it stupid that he came back, I actually really enjoyed what he did in the movie. And again, like
Oh,
I
I think
wanted
his
him to
performance
win.
is fantastic.
Now, this is what everyone, I think, agrees on. The best Disney Star Wars movie, though. Moving away from the worst, we get to the best.
Oh, yeah,
Would,
definitely.
where would you put this?
So I would put this in S tier.
I 100% agree. I love it.
It it is it is probably my second favorite movie actually. Right now I have it ranked below Revenge of the Sith, but I'd probably swap that to be honest. I
Ooh, wow.
right now my top 3 Star Wars characters are in no particular order. Anakin, Rey, Jin.
Wow.
And I I really like Jin in this movie. Really good character in my opinion.
I would agree with that. My top three characters, I'm basic. Anakin, Yoda, and Obi-Wan are mine. But Jin and even Andor, ignoring the series right now, was really good in this movie. And it's probably my second favorite Star Wars movie. Nothing can beat Revenge of the Sith for me after everything that was made it even better. But Rogue One just hits so many good notes that it's so hard to put anything else really above it.
Mhm. And so many things are being like made even better by Andor, which we'll get into later. But uh like whenever he Andor Cassian calls back to tell his mom, she'll be proud of me. And she's gone. And then in the end of Rogue One, to where he tells Jin, "Your father would have been proud of you." It's like, man, that made that scene so much better because he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. Nobody was able to tell him, "Hey, you did a good job." So he's gonna tell her now, even though her dad is gone
Oh,
at that point.
so
Hey,
good.
he would have been proud of you. It's like
Yeah.
little things like that that make this film and Andor later so good.
Mm-hmm. Just the way it connects to everything and just flows so smoothly into A New Hope is so well done. And honestly, I this is it has one of I consider one of the best scenes in all of cinema, the Vader hallway scene. I
Oh
adore
yeah.
that. It's just so good. I remember being in the theater, seeing that scene happen, and just like totally fanboying out because of how amazing it was. Like the whole Battle of Scarif is probably the no, I it's at least top three battles for me, probably ever for Star
Same.
Wars. It's just so
What's
good.
what's the top 3?
Ooh, um, full scale battles. So I'm not gonna count lightsaber duels. Full scale
Yeah, like full
battles.
on like either vehicles or spaceships.
So, Battle of Scarif is up there. I would say
Really?
yes. I love not in no particular order. Not so it's not number one, but Battle of Scarif. I would say Battle of Endor is there as well.
That
I'd
would be
have to
my
put it
top.
there. And my second one, or my third one, ooh, honestly, what would it be? I'd say, I mean, it had to be the Umbara arc. Would that count as one?
I'd count that. Yeah.
I would say Umbara. Those three, yeah, those three are definitely just because of what Umbara, it needs no explanation. But the battles, I guess I would talk more about Scarif, but you have the space battle, you have the ground battle, you have just a small team just fighting this big force, and I love that. For me personally, like last stand types going up against impossible odds, that just clicks so well with me in terms of just action and emotion. Like they have all you have the giant empire against the small group, and they do the impossible. And I know that's like the whole thing of Star Wars. You have the small rebels going up against the empire. But when you really have like this closeness with the characters more than just the whole Rebel Alliance, I think it hits a lot harder, which makes me enjoy it a lot more.
I agree.
What
So we have
was
one more film then.
I did not like this movie.
I was not a fan either. Like most of the time, like whenever I would get done watching a Star Wars movie, I would be like thinking about it for months. Like I would be like, man, this theory. This one I left and I was like, okay, uh, when's episode 9 stuff gonna start coming out?
Yeah, I mean, when I first watched this movie, like I couldn't get into it at all. I had like no enjoyment really, and that's something I can't say for a lot of things.
What did you think of him as Han Solo though?
I thought he was pretty good.
I did too. Like out of everything in this movie that didn't work for me, that was the thing that did work. I was like, that was good.
I would not mind seeing him back in future projects. That's all I would say about this. Like I can't say much about Solo because I just don't really care about it enough to, both good or bad wise.
But that's kind of me. Like it's like I'd probably put it like very bottom of B tier or high, probably bottom of B tier because it's not awful. Like it's not one that like I actively dislike. Like there's a lot of stuff in it that I'm like, yeah, that was fun, but I'm not gonna go back and rewatch it.
I have not rewatched this film, nor do I ever plan to. Like, at least with the sequels, even the ones I dislike, like The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, I can at least find a reason to want to go back and rewatch those movies. Solo, no. I just, it feels more like a chore for me.
hmm It felt like honestly, some of the TV shows they made later would have worked better as a movie. I think Solo would have worked better as a TV show.
Honestly, a Cowboy Bebop style show of Han Solo, that would have been great.
You know, like you have like Han Solo's on this adventure today, and then the overarching thing is the Crimson Dawn thing. But it's like, no, Han Solo and Chewie are just on an adventure today. I'd have been great with that. That sounds like fun.
I heard someone say something about this movie is that they just fit too much into this one movie and it just made
They
it
did.
feel too fast, I guess.
hmm I agree. I agree with that for sure.
Have you ever gone back and rewatched the original Clone Wars?
So I only actually watched this about a year ago. Like, see, I'm big on like I never was into Legends. Never
Mm-hmm.
read any of the Legend stuff. Never was like, watch the stuff to where it was like, did you know that Chewbacca gets killed by a moon in 50 or 20 years after Return of the Jedi? I didn't know that. I didn't care. But like whenever the new canon came out, I was real into all that. So I got all invested in that, didn't really care about anything else. So I never got into this Clone Wars. But it's pretty good. I mean, it ain't as good as the other, but it ain't bad either.
Yeah, I mean, this is from the guy that made Samurai Jack, and you can really tell from the style and the way
Hmm.
a lot of scenes are presented. And I think it works really well for some of the scenes. And I don't think anyone can disagree how they portray General Grievous in this was just nothing short of amazing.
I was just about to say General Grievous in this show makes the show. If this had just been General Grievous, the show, you could have sold me on because
See,
he's so cool in it.
that's one thing I would say about the Clone Wars is, well, I don't dislike how General Grievous is shown in there. He should have been more of what the original was.
Hmm.
Like I wish we got more of that because he people because of the Clone Wars, people just see him as like this cow that always loses. But no, that's just not true. He's a true Jedi killer. He is feared among many Jedi, but we just don't see that.
Which, and I like. My favorite thing from this series is at the very end, whenever Mace Windu crushes his chest, you're like, so that's why he can't move as quick in Revenge of the Sith, and it makes complete sense
That's
because you're
another.
like, this dude just had his chest crushed.
Yeah, I would say this is a high B.
I would say I'd put it below Attack of the Clones, to be honest. I think Attack of the Clones is a little bit better. I think this is good, but not. If I was gonna watch one back, I'd watch Attack of the Clones again.
I
I'd
would
watch
agree
this
with
over
that.
Solo though, for sure.
100%. Yeah, the Kenobi stuff for me is just too good.
Yeah,
Now, a lot of people have mixed feelings about this next one. I adore everything about it. The Bad Batch. I think this
I
is
like it.
easily high A for me.
I would probably put it right below Empire Strikes Back.
Personally, I'd put it above it, but I'm fine with this placement. Just because
I'm
there are a lot of the Adventure of the Week style episodes that just don't work for me.
The only reason I'm putting it here is because I think it's at a point to where it can either become something all-time great for Star Wars or something that is kind of forgettable. This
It
final season is going to make or break it.
I with how season two was going at the end, I don't see it being anything short of amazing.
I don't either.
While I would love, and I really kind of hoping that Tech is alive, I would understand if he doesn't make it, but I personally would want to see him come back because he was easily my favorite of the four.
I think he's gone, to be honest, but I think, and this might be a hard one, I don't think he's the only Bad Batch member that will be gone by the end of the show.
Ah, just thinking about that is making my heart break, man. God, this show is it's so good in a lot of areas, but so bad in a lot of others. What's like the spider episode where they're in the mines and there's all those like spiders. Like I don't like that episode at all.
I think I'm gonna make a bold prediction. I think Omega is the only one that'll make it out of the Bad Batch crew.
Now I wouldn't agree with that. I think at least one other Bad Batch member is gonna make it out with her, but I can see the team going down. I can see, I don't know if you've ever played Call of Duty before, but in the original Modern Warfare 3, the ending, there's a mission called Down the Rabbit Hole, and you got to go save the Russian vice president and his daughter. And at the end, you have the final stand, you're getting ready to leave, and then something bad happens, and then people got to stay behind to get the other people out of there, and then they sacrifice their lives. I can easily see that being what the Bad Batch is gonna be at the end.
I think it's gonna get down to Mount Tantus, and this is just all prediction. I think it gets down to Mount Tantus, and the batch is like there's one ship, but there is a lot of clones left in the facility, and they tell Omega, "You stay with the ship, and you get as many of them out of here as you can." And they like stormtroopers are coming in. They can't get back to the ship, and then Hunter tells her she has to go. So then they leave, and then we just watch them get decimated at
They,
the
that
end
that's
because they
little
can't win.
that's literally the down the rabbit hole mission to a
Yes.
T. Now, I gotta ask, would that not happening affect how you feel about the show?
No. No. If every one of them that's alive right now, because I don't think Tech's coming back, unfortunately, even though I really like Tech. Uh, But if every one of them got out and they went to that island and they were like, "We lost. That's it. We lost. We give up," then I'd be fine with that because that would be. I mean, the thing is, we're still like 18 years away from. Uh,
A New Hope.
uh, yeah. So you can't do much. Like,
But
it's kind
enough.
of.
But talking about the show as it is now and not what the next season is gonna be, what makes it so high up here?
I just animation for one is the best that it's ever been, in my opinion.
Easily, 100%.
And you to make these characters that in like season one or not season one, season 7 of Clone Wars, were just kind of like the goofy character of the week, and into making them like a really interesting bunch of characters. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, just I the it filling up the gap between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope is done really well. The transition from the Republic to the Empire, I think it's just so well done. And the decommissioning of the clones, seeing it in real time is just so heartbreaking after watching 7 seasons of clones and getting to know them getting humanized. And it really just shows how honestly, probably in the entirety of Star Wars, they have the most tragic story out of anyone else.
And my favorite scene, one of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars, is the uh, destruction of uh, Kamino's city.
No, don't remind me that. Oh, it's so powerful, but I hate it so much because seeing that's like literally the signal of the end of an era of the clones.
Oh
That's how
yeah,
you know it's just like, wow, this is really the end of it. Uh, I can't. Dude, that just hurts. Like I said earlier, I love the clones. They're easily my favorite thing in like all of Star Wars. They're just so well done. They're so cool. They're heroic. You can connect with them all. Like even just a random clone trooper on the in the background you're attached to.
yeah. It is very much like Clone Wars Part 2, but everything's sad now.
It really is. But yeah, I put it above Empire because I think the emotional moments, mainly because I guess because I'm so attached to the clones, I have it ranked a lot higher for me.
That's fair. I don't think I could put it above Empire just yet, but I think it could eventually be above there for me.
Depends on season 3.
Yes.
Now, I really don't like this next one. I think the
I
lows are
think it's
too.
split.
I think it's good 100%, but the lows for me outweigh the good. Now, the good is really good. Don't get me wrong, it's really good. But the lows are just too much for me to ignore on it. I don't like Rebels.
So I'm trying to think that like season one is not great, but by the end of season one, it's really good. And then like season two is great all the way through, pretty much. I don't know. I really like it. There's a lot of things in it that is just like really good. Like Clone Wars has like some great arcs. This has some great like season long arcs. And I think that kind of for me it speaks to me a little bit. Like it's like the Vader arc or the Thrawn arc or the like Grand Inquisitor arc. Those are really good.
Hmm I the lows just hurt too much for me to rank it high. If anything, I'd put it above Attack of the Clones, though. That high B is probably where I put it.
I'd probably uh
Because the highs of it are really high. I can't deny that. Like everyone,
I'd probably put it if it was mine, I'd put it between A New Hope and Force Awakens.
nah, I couldn't do that. I love A New Hope a lot more than Rebels.
But like, okay, that Ahsoka Invader scene though, that's a really high.
It is
And like
the
that
I
the like Kanan and Kanan's ending.
Kane
Oh
up.
boy.
Yeah.
Like that's really
I would compromise and put it under A New Hope.
okay, that's fair because I think stuff will fill in around it anyway.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about Rebels. There's a lot of bad, but the highs are really high.
Yeah, I agree. Did you
What
watch this next one?
I did not. What even is this?
So that is the what's it called? That's the one that all the dolls came out for it. I own all the dolls. Um,
I'll let you rank this
oh,
one. I can't speak on it.
Forces of Destiny. That's what it is. It's a bunch of short films about all the women of Star Wars. This is back whenever they were like the Force is female and all that was going on. I bought all the dolls because I thought they looked cool, even though I'm buying Barbie dolls pretty much. And Chewbacca kind of looked like a 70s hairdresser. Um, but anyway, uh, it's kind of irrelevant. It's like the Young Jedi Adventures, like they exist. They're for somebody. They're not for me. Uh, I'd probably put it yeah in D.
Uh,
They exist. Like
I
I have
didn't
no
even know
ill
existed.
feelings about it, but uh, the best episode of it is there's an Ahsoka and Padme one, and Ahsoka they're under attack at the end of it, and Anakin comes in, and Ahsoka takes no, Anakin's flying, and Padme almost falls off the ship. So Anakin like runs over and grabs her to like save her, and like he like puts her into his arms, and you're like, well, Ahsoka's right there, and then it cuts over to Ahsoka, and Ahsoka just kind of smiles back, like, "Oh, this is like the Obi-Wan scene in season 7, where
Oh
like,
no! Oh, that hurts so much.
yeah, like these Obi-Wan and Ahsoka knew something was going on with these two the entire
Yeah,
time, but they're just like, yeah, you
that
guys
just
aren't into each other. Wink, wink.
and that just makes it so much more heartbreaking in the Obi-Wan versus Anakin door in Revenge of the Sith.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Like
It's the
there's
tearjerker every.
there's one line they cut out, and it's like Obi-Wan telling Padme when he's about to go fight Anakin. He's like, "I knew all along where your hat, but I kept quiet because I knew how happy you made him." To
That
paraphrase it, and that was they should have kept that. It's just so good and it's so heartbreaking.
gotta gotta pull at them heartstrings as many times as they can in that movie.
Now, some people still call this the best Star Wars show.
I
I
think it's the second best now. I think it had a very weak season 3 though.
I would agree. I if we were just counting the first two seasons, I think it'd be an easy S.
Oh, I do
But
too.
season three really brought it down for me. And not that I didn't enjoy season three, but I felt like the ideas it wanted to do just didn't get played out the way they should have been.
I agree. I I'd probably put this one above Empire Strikes Back
I would
because
I would agree with that.
I think, like you said, first two seasons fantastic. First season is amazing. Second season is pretty good. Third season is all right.
The season finale of season two though is just so good.
Oh, it's really
Like
good.
it makes all of season two so worth it.
And we'll
Season
get
three,
into another one in a minute, but this show kind of suffered from the Disney Plus thing of, hey, go watch all our shows to get the full effect. Like, yeah, that ruined it for season 3 at least.
for me,
But
season
we'll
three. What were you gonna
do
say?
what? No, you're good.
I was just gonna say, like the idea season three, I was fully on board with. I need to probably rewatch it to remember a lot of it though, like what I wanted from it. But just I feel like it needed more time to develop the ideas. I felt like they kind of accomplished their goals a bit too fast.
Yeah,
It didn't feel
yeah, I agree.
rewarding.
Yeah, like Moff Gideon, like just kind of, oh, there he goes. Like, well, that was easy.
And then going back to Mandalore and everything too. I don't know. I when this was airing, I had a lot more clear of a vision of what this season was gonna be like, and it wasn't like that, and it made it a lot worse.
Yeah, I agree.
And we're
Hopefully,
just
season 4 is better.
hopefully, and hopefully we get season five because despite the sourness I have for season three, I still love The Mandalorian. It's so good.
This is
Visions.
Vision season 1.
They
Is
don't.
season 1 and season 2 split up? No, the other one is Tales of the Jedi, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
So I mean, we can just count both.
I've not watched Vision season 2.
Neither have I, so we'll just count one. Not that I don't want
Uh,
to, I just haven't really found the time to watch it.
yeah, it's one of them where I'm like, I don't really. It doesn't matter. It's I want to watch the one where the Wallace and Gromit creators made it, but other than that, I haven't really been invested in watching it. Uh, it does have one of my favorite uh little episodes in all of Star Wars, like storytelling, where the girl that is it's supposed to be, which none of these are canon, like it's all fake, like it's
Hmm
all made up. But anyway, but like the girl is like hundreds of years past, or even thousands. It doesn't say, but like Jedi haven't existed in thousands of years, and they find the guy that has the old lightsabers, and she gets one of them, and like they're like, you know what you're doing, and it's like she's has the abilities, like the Force still exists, and it's a
Hmm.
really good scene. It's like the one where she's fighting out of the ice.
Yeah,
Uh, Really good episode, and then the uh, the Trigger Studio one. That's a really good one. I
I
really
really
like
like
that one.
that one. That one was really good. That's the one with the twins, right?
Yes,
Yeah, I really like that one.
where he splits or takes his lightsaber and like charges it up,
Yeah,
and then splits the Star Destroyer in half. I'm
and
like,
and then the
this is not
Grievous
Star Wars, but
copycat.
this is awesome.
I would a full-on series from Trigger in like the Star Wars universe would be pretty fun.
Oh
I would
yeah,
say that. The question is, where would we put it?
I
I
kind of want to
I
like put it
struggle to
like
find it. I struggle to rank it as a collective, honestly.
I kind of want to put it like right above Clone Wars, the
The movie?
original Clone
Oh, the
Wars. No,
original.
no, no. Yeah, because like if I was gonna watch like these back, I would watch it over Clone Wars or Solo. And it's kind of like in that category. Like I'm kind of indifferent to it, but it's not bad.
The episodes I enjoy, I really enjoy. The episodes I don't, I really don't.
Yeah,
I'd probably have
but at the same
2003
thing,
Clone was above it, but I mean, I can't really argue anything else. Like,
at the same time though, like the worst episodes, they aren't canon, so it's kind of like, well, we'll just
whatever.
pretend that doesn't exist.
Because it doesn't really.
Yeah, like it has no consequences. Like if one of the episodes is bad, like oh well.
Like, I really dislike the one on Tatooine where they formed that band.
Yeah, I struggled to get through that one. I'll be honest.
Honestly, that's one reason why I haven't really watched season 2 yet, because I don't really want to sit through the bad episodes.
I know there is one episode, and I've wanted to watch it just for this one episode because I've seen a clip of a Jedi, and people have made arguments on that's not how Jedi actually are. But he fights with a technique to where he shuts his lightsaber on and off as he fights, and like they'll have their blades locked, he'll turn it off, slide under the opponent's blade, then go back and hit it again and turn it on. And that looks awesome. Haven't watched it, so I don't know how good the episode is, but that fight looked really cool.
Yeah, I've heard about that, but I haven't seen anything from the episode or anything else. I've
Yeah,
only
other
heard
than like a
about it.
10-second clip, I've not seen anything from it.
Probably, despite how much I enjoy it, it's easily the worst live action show for me. Boba Fett,
Honestly, it's the worst thing on my list. I had
the
the Clone Wars
bar,
movie below it. I had the Clone Wars movie below it, but honestly, I could make a defense on why it's below it.
I still enjoy it. I did not dislike where they took Boba's character. I agree with everyone else though. The Mando focus episodes were not needed. Like why? Why was that there? Like one, okay, I can kind of get, but two, that's too far. And that just goes to the thing I hate about Disney Plus. Why are they so obsessed with like the 6 to 8 episode seasons? I think
Yeah,
this could have been a lot better if it had a bit more time to actually flesh out the ideas it had.
if it would have been a movie just about Boba Fett, I think it'd have been all right. But it became a series that devalued the Mandalorian because I feel like people came back in season 3 of Mandalorian and they were like, "Why is Grogu back? Where did Boba Fett go? You know, what's all happening here?" Everything's different than where I watched. And then they ask people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you got to go watch Book of Boba Fett," and they're like, "I'm not doing that," and then they just
Hmm.
stop watching.
Yeah, I think as a movie, it probably would have been a lot better because then you could have just had like literally Boba's story with the Tuskens and everything in there,
Mm-hmm.
and then go on his journey, and then to being the freaking new Daimao of Tatooine and everything. That would have worked fine as a movie. But then you just get like little. I'm with everyone, man. That speedo bike chase was so bad.
Hey,
Like you
can
could.
we pause for like 5 seconds? I gotta make a call real quick.
Oh yeah,
You mind
sure,
if
go
we edit?
ahead.
Okay, I'll be right back.
You called? Yes. Yes. I can. Dude, you know me. I'm not people. No. No. I don't. No, I don't care, dude. No. Oof.
All right, I'm back.
Uh-huh. Damn, are you gonna have time? I mean, that just seems like a lot. I don't know. I don't know, Anthony. I'm stupid. Yeah. Okay, okay, if you say so. Okay, alright, alright. Alright, well, I gotta go. I'm doing something right now. Alright, bye. Sorry about that.
Are you good?
Alright, so where would you put this then?
Book of Boba Fett, I would put. Oh god, I'd put it below Rise of Skywalker.
I see, for me, I'd probably put it above Visions. That's what I'd put it. I I do like
We can compromise and put it below Solo.
alright. Like I do like what they
I
took
would rather
Boba
watch
Fett.
Solo than this. I'll tell you that.
I would rather watch this. One of my biggest complaints though is what they did with Cad Bane. Like I you I know a lot of people don't know the history because there was a scrapped arc in the Clone Wars, but Cad Bane trained Boba Fett. They could have done a lot more with that.
Yeah, if you'd have made a backstory, like instead of having the Mandalorian episodes, you just made a live action version of, like, bring back Daniel Logan, the guy that played the young Boba Fett. bring him back to do a scene to where he is young Boba Fett and like in his 20s now and gets shot, but he survives, but then he gets the dent in his helmet, but then he shoots off Cad Bane's thing. You're like, oh, so back to it. We're gonna have round 2, and this time he finishes them off, and you're like, okay, I like that, but we didn't get that. We got 2 Mandalorian episodes we didn't need.
And the worst part is those are such good episodes. Those are amazing episodes in a show not
Of
even about
Mandalorian,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
If those would have been the first 2 episodes of season 3, it'd have been great. But it's like this isn't Mandalorian season 3. This is Book of Boba Fett.
I just blame. I'm gonna get into this a lot more when we get to Kenobi, but I despise Disney's episodic structure with the 6 to 8 episodes.
I agree.
But pausing from that, are you good on time?
Oh yeah.
There we go. Back to Resistance. Well, I guess getting to Resistance. I've not seen the show. I do not care for this show. I will say that.
So here's the thing. It's not as bad as you'd think.
Really?
It is not awful. Um, it's not great. Like, you know how Rebels and Clone Wars, like as the show progressed on, it got more and more matured where you're like, oh, we're getting
Oh, so
somewhere.
this one just stayed like season 1 Clone Wars the whole way through, is what you're saying.
No, it was like season 1 of Clone Wars, but season 1 of this show, season 2 of this show was like season 2 of Clone Wars, and you're like, oh, we're getting somewhere. And then that's just it. We never get anything else. And it's really interesting because you have a character. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but there is a character that because like the Resistance, everything is like you gotta be quiet about it. It's a secret thing. We're trying to be secret about everything. Well, they're like, no, I don't like secrets. I like everything the way it is. Everything's fine and everything. And so to them, the Resistance is a problem. So at the end of season 1, it's like they have a choice to either join the First Order and have that like peace that they have had, or risk it with the Resistance. Because the end of season 1 of Resistance is The Force Awakens. And you're like, obviously Hosnian Prime is destroyed at the end of, or in Force Awakens. So to this character, it's like, well, what are we going to do? Like, the First Order is in control now. So to them, it's a very much more complex decision. If this wasn't season 1 of a kid's show, it could have been really interesting and they could have done a lot with it, but season 2 is the end. It kind of ends on a cliffhanger. Not on a major cliffhanger, but like, we don't know what happens to any of these characters. The best part of this is that you remember the guy in Ahsoka, which we'll get to later, that is the
I know.
senator.
I've heard of
Yeah.
this. Yeah, the senator is related to one of these characters, or one of the characters in
Yes.
Resistance is related to them.
Yes. The green guy in the
The
picture
dislikable
there.
one.
Yes. That's his son. So it's an interesting thing. So I don't know. I really liked the blue and orange girl. Really liked her character, and then her voice actor turned it out to be a idiot, which I won't get into. But I don't like her anymore, so I don't really like the character anymore.
No.
And so I'd probably put it below like Rise of Skywalker. It's not great, but it ain't awful. It's better than what people think it is.
I might check it out now then, if it has your watchable seal of approval.
It's there's like if you watch like Forces of Destiny, you aren't gonna get anything. Like there is nothing you're gonna get out of it. This is Star Wars. I know it's Star Wars. If you like the pod racing stuff and uh Phantom Menace, you'll like this show. That's pretty much all I can say about it.
Alright, well, despite what everyone else says, and I do still have my own criticisms for this show, I still absolutely adore the Obi-Wan show. I think it's amazing still.
It's A tier. We're at an A tier we'll get to, but I think it's
I,
A tier.
my biggest complaint, and I will forever hate Disney for this, and that's why I'm so against the structure, is I know it was originally supposed to be a movie, and I feel like a lot of people think it would have been better as a movie. But I think it's better as a show, and it would have been even better if we got like at least two more episodes, and if the episodes, all of them, were an hour long. That I hate Disney because you get six episodes, and they're not even all an hour long. You get like a 30-minute episode for one of them. It's like, why? There's six, and there's so much more you need to do. Like this, they don't give them enough time to do anything, and it just makes it feel so rushed, and I hate it. I hate it so much.
I agree. I agree. I think honestly, I do think it would have worked better as a movie, though. I think it if if you'd have had the like
Okay, so I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think I can kind of guess where you're going with that. So how I see it pictured as a movie is you just have, Leia get captured or something. The same thing as the show, you need Obi-Wan to go
Mhm.
rescue her. And, he develops the same way he gets over his regret of everything during the Clone Wars of Anakin and stuff like that. He manages to overcome everything and then begins his Force training at the end of it. You know, I think that would have worked fine as a movie because as the show, with the limited runtime it had, and it kind of ex put too much time in areas it didn't need to, I'd say.
Yeah.
But for me, and that's why I think it worked better as a movie, but for me, why I think it worked better as a show is if it had more time to let things breathe and expand on its ideas, I fully believed before this show came out, if done right, it could have been probably the best Star Wars best anything ever because you have Obi-Wan, not only just a fan favorite character, but you have it during a time period between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, being able to explore that area through the lens of Obi-Wan is just so interesting in the ways he can do it. Episode one, I was fine with him leaving the planet right away. But if episode one was just him dealing with that regret and everything, like we get more flashbacks and everything, more nightmares from him, we truly see how it's affecting him, it would have been better. Then episode two, it's the Leia stuff, more of Bail and everything, and then she gets taken. We get a little bit of Obi-Wan and stuff there, and then it ends with Bail going to Obi-Wan asking for help. Episode three is the one where he saves her and stuff. I just think the way I don't know if you've played Fallen Order, but the way Cal reconnects
Yeah.
with the Force is what I wanted from the Obi-Wan show, and it could have had that, but it didn't. It did it way too fast for me, and I think that's the biggest problem I have with it.
Yeah. I pretty much agree with everything you said. I think it is like a perfectly flawed show.
Because when he breaks into Fortress Inquisitorius, and that's like the 130-minute episode, that would have been the perfect time for him to like really reconnect with the Force. And we do see it, he gets his own little hallway scene and everything, but it just goes back to like it's just going through it so fast, and the way the episodes are structured because of the time limit they have, how they decided to do it. It's more like a going kind of back to Jedi Fallen Order. It's kind of like a game. Each episode is kind of like a save point, and it just
Yeah,
doesn't work in a show.
yeah. I now that you say that, I completely agree with that.
So
It
its structure just it had everything it needed to be good, and they just didn't utilize it. I've been planning
Mhm.
to make I guess a fan fiction on how I think it should have went, and I need to do that. I need to rewatch it first though to remind myself what it is I really wanted from it.
uh, I'm
But
one thing I did not like about this series, and I still do not like about it, and it is very nitpicky. But that final battle is amazing, but you can't see anything. It's so dark for no reason. I don't know why it's so dark. Like I had to turn the brightness. I was watching this final episode. I'm gonna watch it on my TV or my projector thing. I had to turn the brightness up on it because I couldn't see what I was watching.
yeah, I
I was like,
love the final battle. But I mean,
it's such a
I
good battle,
it
but
really is. I mean, I don't
nah,
really have the
it
same
does feel
complaint
a little
about the
bit rebel.
darkness.
But
Honestly, I think everyone points it out, and I completely agree. I love how it complements Rebels.
I think it works. I mean, I've seen the edit to where it's like Ahsoka cut the left half, Obi-Wan cut the right half, but Luke was able to get the whole thing. It's really a corny meme, but I'm like, yeah, that works though.
See, I never saw it as a corny meme. It just works so well. And then everyone points
It
it
does.
back to on Mortis, where they're like, when they first land on the planet, and they're like, as long as we all stick together, we'll be fine. And then
Hmm.
it cuts to them being separated and everything going to shit. But I would put Obi-Wan, if I had a, I would personally put it above the Mandalorian, but for this, I'd put it under the Mandalorian. But
Okay.
that's where I would put it.
I'm gonna. So we're on opposite sides of Ace here. I was gonna say let's put it below A New Hope, but I'll.
We'll
How
compromise
about
and put it in the middle.
yeah? How about in the middle?
Cause I still fully believe this show could have been the best of Star Wars. It
Oh,
needed a
absolutely.
little bit more time to flesh out its ideas. It just well, Andor got the time it needed, Obi-Wan did not. And
Yeah.
that's so sad to me.
Obi-Wan had too many people trying to figure out what to do with it. While Andor, they just shoved it off to one guy and they were like, okay, do whatever you want with this dude. Nobody's going to watch this show. It's going to suck anyway. And then
And
they
it
were wrong.
and it turned out to be the best Star Wars show ever.
Yeah.
I Before we talk about it, where would you put it? I kind of want to put it above Return of the Jedi.
So right now in my ranking, I have it Return of the Jedi and or Clone Wars. So I personally I'd put it above Return of the Jedi just to make it even for where like to balance out our ranking. But uh it's really good.
There's not much to say because of how good it is. Like, is there even instead of trying to talk about the good, try to talk about something bad about this show. I don't think I can. I really don't think I
Uh
can.
I don't know. It
Exactly.
season 2 got delayed.
But that's not its fault. This show is just perfect. This show is
That's
perfect.
yeah. There's like watching it an episode at a time was hard. I wish they would have released it like in
An
arcs at a
arc at a
time.
time. They did it.
But
That was such a good thing they did, though. Since they delayed it, they released the entire first arc at once. Did they, or was it
yeah,
just the first two? I'm pretty sure it was the first arc, no?
I think it was the first arc. I don't
Well,
know.
they
Either way, I liked that it did watching an arc at a time. It really
Yeah,
it does
watching
help.
it weekly was so brutal because I love the way it's structured with the arcs and how each episode builds upon the last. Like you get the first episode, which is the introduction, and then the second episode, which is the exposition, and then you get to the third episode, which is the climax. I love how it worked like that. It just did it so well, and each arc somehow got better than the last one every time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the prison arc is the best.
I would
Uh,
agree with that, but at the same time, like every arc is just has an argument for being the best too.
yeah, because you got that final arc, which is Marva's speech, and you're like, and that is good. And then, personally, I think Luthen's speech is the best. I really like that one. To
Dude,
where,
it's so good. The
uh,
UK Star Wars account tweeted that scene out, and it's just so powerful.
I'm trying to think of the exact quote, but uh, he'll work for a sunrise that he'll never see. It's like, man, that is a very simple quote, but man, it hits hard.
It really does. It for me, my favorite speech, it's between that or Kino's, dude. His is so good too. In the prison arc.
Eno's Eno's and Marva's make me want to go to war for whatever I'm fighting for, and then Luthen's makes me like I don't want to go to war. War is scary,
Like
but like it's
Luthen's
like
is the
I
one
know
like
I should.
I will go to war so you don't have to.
Yeah, like Luthen. Luthen is the guy to where it's like you're gonna go to war, you're gonna die, but look, that's the right thing to do. And he's like, and I'm after I listen to him, I'm like, you know what, man, you're right. I'm gonna have to go die, I guess, because you just convinced me to go die.
Ugh, there's just like no, I don't understand how people can watch Andor and not enjoy it. Like I really can't. There's
I don't
just
either.
there's no
Like,
I can't think of a single bad thing about it. I really can't.
no, and then once again, the scene to where he calls and his mom's dead, like, and then he just stares off into the sunset. Like that is a really hard scene, and all he's
Hmm.
doing is standing there.
Yeah, man. It even the at the end of the fourth talk, and I kind of want to just say this talk for when we actually do our
Yes.
um other video on that. No spoilers there. But the ending of I'll make it quick. The ending of the first arc where it flashes back to him as a child, where Marv is taking him off planet, and then with Luthen doing the same thing. That was just so good.
It's little things that make this show so good.
Was I guess speaking of that, my one complaint I could finally think of is they kind of just dropped the stuff with his sister after the
I
first
think
arc.
that's coming.
We'll see, but
I
right now that would be my one negative. That just kind of went nowhere.
well, see, I think it's because the first arc is him running away because he almost got arrested, whenever he killed the two guys. So then he is running, and then he does the job then he gets arrested, and so he doesn't really ever have time to do anything, pretty much, because he's got to find money, uh, which is that one arc, and then he's stuck in prison, and then the final arc is him going home to see his
Yeah,
mom, or to
that's
try to.
true. And this is all over the course of a single year or two.
Yes, and I think I think you can do a lot with uh his sister. I think that could be its own arc. Which my only
Honest,
worry about season 2 is that there is a lot they're gonna have to do in
that
one season.
I know. I mean, I get why they're not doing any more after this because, he doesn't want to be tied down to like one big project for that long. But I hate how they have to condense 4 years into one season. And then, it's fine. One arc is going to be 1 year, but like after watching season one and how good it was, it's like, man, we're really going to lose out on so much because of this.
Yeah, because you gotta think we're gonna have a K2SO arc, or at least an episode.
Hmm.
Uh, you're gonna have presumably an episode, maybe an arc about Luthen's death because he ain't in Rogue
Rogue
One.
One. And it's going straight into Rogue One, too. So,
Yeah, and the guy that he doesn't have an arm, uh, don't know his name. I can't remember it. We're gonna get something with him
hmm.
because we got the guy that is with him whenever they escape the prison.
Hmm.
That set
He
up his
he's on.
character for Rogue One.
Yeah, he's on
Uh, so they're
Scary.
gonna set up other characters that are in Rogue One. It. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. But season 1 is great.
Yeah, it's just one of the few pieces of media that I can call like an actual masterpiece. There's like nothing wrong with it, really. And it's something we haven't really talked about in a lot of these for movies and shows is how visually stunning it is.
Oh
It
god.
just looks so good, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, take the sunset scene to where right after this guy just lost his mom. Compare that visually, like what this says about this scene. Compare that to the final battle of Obi-Wan. That they use the stupid volume and it looks awful.
Yeah,
Like
I don't have
it's a
much
great
complaints with
fight.
the volume, but comparing it to Andor, like it's so sad. There's no other way to describe it. It's just so sad how Obi-Wan got treated, man.
Mhm.
And
Like I always liked the idea, and people were tossing this idea around before Obi-Wan came out, that you would have had uh, the second fight with Anakin or Vader at that point and Obi-Wan be involving water. And I loved that idea. I thought that would be so cool to where they went from fire to water, and then it would be their final fight would just be this sterile Death Star, just very kind of a middle ground. I liked
hmm.
that. I like where it happened. It's fine, but at the same time, it's just so boring. Whenever Andor shows us all these cool things, and I'm like, man, look how cool this could have been.
Yeah, like volume aside, the planet they literally decided to do the last duel on was just so barren.
Yeah, like their three battles are the Death Star, which is like needs no explanation, a lava planet, and then a moon. Like, okay. Or was it even a moon? Was it just an asteroid?
I don't know. It was just a bad
Me neither.
wasteland. Out of 50 we have,
Yeah.
50,000. I cannot wait for season 2 of this show. Season 1
Me
of
either.
Tales of the Jedi was so good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. Now, did you like Count Dooku or Ahsoka better?
No question, Count Dooku.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not even a question. Like, I enjoyed the Ahsoka stuff, but Dooku's was easily the highlight of Tales of the Jedi.
And I think one thing that hurts it is we've gotten so much Ahsoka. Like, the Ahsoka stuff wasn't bad, but we haven't got much of Count Dooku. So when we finally get something, it's like, man, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
To see
The
like him and young Qui-Gon, that's really good too.
literally seeing the effect Qui-Gon's death had on him too. It really just takes you back. Like, man, not even just for Anakin, but Dooku. Like, if Qui-Gon didn't die, so much would have changed.
Yeah, because it was just like Qui-Gon was able to like kind of talk him down on a lot of things and didn't exist anymore or wasn't able to be there for him.
The scene that really sticks to me the most from the Dooku episodes is when, after he hears of Qui-Gon's death, he's standing in front of the tree at the temple and just reminiscing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
that's just so powerful, dude.
so. Where would you put it?
Uh, man, I would probably put it below Obi-Wan, above Phantom Menace, just for the
I was
Dooku stuff
thinking,
alone.
I was thinking either there or right above Obi-Wan.
I
But
was thinking above
I'd probably put it
Obi-Wan
below Obi-Wan.
too, but yeah, the emotional aspect of Obi-Wan with Vader at the end is just too good for me, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I'd put it below Obi-Wan.
Ahsoka stuff was
Uh,
good, but really literally the best part about the Ahsoka arc for me was when she went to Padme's funeral. That was it.
yeah. Uh, so pick 2 Jedi you'd like to see in season 2.
Ooh, Plo Koon, 100%. I would say Yoda. I really love Yoda, but I'll shy away from him. This my second one would probably be Kit Fisto.
Okay, I was thinking Kit Fisto as well, but I'm gonna give you a different one. Alea Secura.
An arc with her would be really good.
Because she is so like there's not much with her. She's very
I
kind of like
I loved
very
her
much
in
to her.
the Jedi Crash arc, man. That was like the
Exactly.
one time we actually really got to see her. That's one that's one complaint I would have about the Clone Wars. I wish we got more of the other Jedi.
Yeah.
I hope we keep getting more Tales of the Jedi to make up for that, honestly. But I would definitely love to see one with Plo Koon.
Uh, if I had to, which I don't really, I think we will get it. If I had to guess, I think this is who we'll get. But I don't really. I think we could do other Jedi instead. I think we'll get a Mace Windu
I would
3-part
love a
episode
Mace Windu one.
because I feel like they're gonna do one kind of obscure character and then a more popular character. Like you come for the Ahsoka stuff, you stay for the Dooku stuff. Like, and then
Hmm.
they'll be like, you come for the Mace Windu stuff, you'll stay for the Plo Koon or Kit Fisto.
Yeah. Mace would be really good. I wish we saw more. Like, I loved his scenes in the Clone Wars. I wish we got more of him there too.
You know,
Mace,
another one that would be really good, Asajj Ventress,
that would be good. But
because you could do one of
I
her as when she's little, when she got like right like in the temple. You could show her one in the temple, show one with her master, and then you could adapt some of the Dark Disciple book.
yeah, I just feel like adapting Dark Disciple in such a short time. I know that they make it work somehow, but I don't think it'd be that good
Well, I mean, they
because it's a
adapted
whole
the Ahsoka
book.
novel in the Ahsoka episodes. They did change a lot, but it works.
But they also changed some stuff on the Siege of Mandalore from it too.
That's true. That's true.
All right, getting to the final, most recent Star Wars show, the Ahsoka show, the show that had like two of those about her already.
Where would you put it? I'll let you go first.
I would probably put it. Where would I put it? That's actually very difficult. Oh my God, where would I put it? I. Oh shit. I would say Andor Kenobi. Would I?
Under Kenobi. I was gonna put it above Bad Batch.
I I could put it really high too. Like I really enjoyed the show a lot. I really did. I'm that's really hard. I think this is wow, this is the hardest one for me. Where would I put it? I mean, the negatives I have on are just not really there. A lot of it I really enjoyed. I
My
guess
few
my
negatives are just nitpicks, really. Like I don't have any major problems with this show.
neither do I. Like it just works so well. My really my one biggest complaint is that there wasn't a space battle with Thrawn at the end. That
Yeah,
would have been
I agree.
perfect. That would have been
I think
perfect.
that should have been the ending. Just he comes back, and it's just like
West Coast.
he just destroys everybody, and then it's just like, okay, see you guys later.
West.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like to where it's like he's back in hiding. Nobody really knows where he's at. He's still planning.
Mm-hmm. Dude, this is actually really difficult. Because everything with Balin is just so good. Everything with
Mm-hmm.
Thrawn was so good. Ahsoka's stuff, so good. I guess the one thing I'd say
West
was
Coast.
not so good was probably the stuff with Sabine for me.
I liked the Sabine stuff. I thought that was one of the best.
West.
It I'm not against her being a Jedi or anything, but I I think it could have been done a little bit better. That's what
Yeah,
I'll say about it.
I agree with that. I wish we would have gotten more Sabine and Ahsoka stuff.
It just
Uh,
goes back to my complaint with the other
West
shows. It
Coast
just should have
University.
been longer.
yeah. Going back to Tales of Jedi, you can make a Sabine 3-episode arc.
That would be good.
I'd be fine with that. You show her and Ahsoka training. I'd
Mm-hmm.
be fine with that. I
I
don't
w
think we will, but
Probably not. I will say
West Coast
I'm
University.
not the biggest fan of Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka.
I think she has some really good moments. But I don't think that. I think
West.
it's like now how she acts at the end to where she kind of loosens up some. I like that. I think that's getting to where Ahsoka needs to be. She needs to be more kind of fun
West.
and more adventurous. Now I understand why she's not that way at the start,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, I hope we get more of the fun Ahsoka, not the more hardened Ahsoka.
I also think we didn't really get enough of her getting over the past.
But yeah,
I would have liked to see it.
I'm fine with it, but I could have had more.
I would have liked to have seen a contrast with Cal, because how in the Force game he's disconnected from the Force, and he has to launch a reconnect. It could have been the opposite with Ahsoka. Not in the sense that she'd have to like disconnect with the Force or anything like that, but the way she could, I guess, get stronger in the sense of unlocking more stuff would have been overcoming the past.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like how they did her arc here, especially with that. So I could see him going either way. I'm fine either way with that one.
Yeah, the one episode, I mean, there was just all the Anakin stuff in the World Between Worlds. I thought that was great. That was really good.
Oh, I did too.
Dude, I want them to make a live action Clone Wars movie so badly. Now, after seeing that, like just adapt one of the unfinished arcs or something. I don't care. I need more Clone Wars, man. Going back to
So, where
would you put it?
Where would you put it? I would put it above Bad Batch.
Above Bad Batch.
I don't think it ever hits as good as Mandalorian or Empire Strikes Back does. I think both of them do some things better. Yeah, Mandalorian has some lower lows, but it also has a lot higher highs.
That's the advantage of multiple seasons.
Yes, but even if it was just season 1, I think I'd put Mandalorian over it. Because Mandalorian season 1 was really good.
I think for now, I'd put it below Kenobi. And it's gonna suck because I think I probably could have put it above Empire depending on season 2. But my biggest thing is rest in peace, Ray Stevenson. I can't
Yeah.
see anyone replacing him, man. He was just so good in the role. Honestly, I think that was my favorite part of the Ahsoka show, the stuff with him.
Yeah, that is the true like saddest part about all of this is that we will not get more of his character.
And if we do, it's just not gonna be the same.
No, not at all.
Oh, on technical difficulties right now. There we go. My freaking Google Chrome was frozen for a second. I think to compromise, I'd put it above Obi-Wan, but below Bad Batch.
I'll agree with that.
Bad Batch for me, I'm just too emotionally attached to the clones as a whole.
That's
Like
fair.
the episode where um they managed to get the upper hand on Reinhardt. Is that his name? I don't know if that's his right name to
I think
pronounce it,
so, yes.
but that episode where they get the upper hand on him and Palpatine just pulls the rug from under them, man. That whole truly decommissioning the clones officially now. That was just so sad. And then the Crosshair episode one, where they're defending that base on the planet, the ice planet, the snow planet. That was just so
That was a
good.
really good one. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with this. I think that's the correct placement for it.
I don't really have any. I wouldn't change anything about this list, really, honestly.
No, to be honest, I think no. I was gonna say we can move up A New Hope a little bit, but honestly, for my ranking, I'd probably leave it there. So
If I was to move A New Hope up at all, the highest I'd go is literally just before The Force Awakens, and that'd be it.
yeah, I'd still put Force Awakens above it. So I think this is good.
Not many disagreements as I thought there'd be, honestly.
No, only a few, and I think the few we did have, it was like we understand each other's point.
Uh-huh. really
which I
the
think is the thing. Most people will agree there are parts of all of these that are really good and some of them that are pretty bad. And it just mostly comes down to what can you let slide and
preference.
what do you not.
Yeah, exactly. There's some things I can, and sometimes I just have like a pure bias that even if I disagree with myself, I wouldn't back down from the stance I would be taking.
Fair, fair.
But yeah,
Well,
this is a pretty good list. I think. I don't know if anyone would agree with that. I wonder if we're gonna get burned on the stake. Who knows?
possibly, but possibly not. Uh,
Alright. Well, it was
well,
nice making this list with you, man. It's always nice to talk about Star Wars stuff with people. I actually don't have anyone else to talk about this stuff with, so doing this was
me
fun.
either. I used to be really big into the Star Wars community. That was what I uh, was more into than well, because I didn't like anime at the time. Uh, that was what I really liked, and the community sucks. So I
Yeah,
decided that I'm gonna go to anime instead.
yeah, I think I mentioned this to you before, but I was slowly getting into Star Wars Twitter, and my God, that was the most toxic thing I've seen, man. It was like, what the hell?
Well, brief rant. So, would you ever see the crowd of what they called Raylos for between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker?
I did not. I
Okay, so there was this whole group of people that I discovered right before Last Jedi came out, to where they were like, "It's Raylo. It's gonna be Ray and Kylo Ren at the end." And I thought it was the stupidest thing at first, but then I was like, "Well, maybe they're onto something." And this was before Last Jedi came out, so I was like all behind these people to where they're like, "It's gonna happen. You watch." And then the trailer came out, and they're all like, "See, see." And I have a video which I have privated that has me reacting to the Last Jedi trailer, and I'm in there saying, "Look, it's Raylo." And then I found out that all of these Raylo people hated the Rise of Skywalker because the only reason is because they killed Ben Solo and they couldn't have babies. And I was like, this community is the stupidest thing I've ever been a part of. And so that's whenever I got into anime.
Yeah, no, I think the time I was getting into the Star Wars shit was probably just like a year ago. It was pretty recent, and it was just a lot of negativity on the post after post after post. It's like, my God, man, I cannot deal with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. That's the worst part about Star Wars, unfortunately, is the fans.
Hmm.
Well,
As
a group of the fans.
the vocal minority.
Yes.
That's something I always forget about like a lot of communities. It's always the vocal minority, but it's so hard to remember that. And even if you do know it, it's like they're just so vocal, it's hard to ignore it.
Yeah, like the vocal minority of people really dislike Idolmaster U4149, but the majority of people love it.
Now, I just gonna keep saying that it's just the cheaper version of the peak that is Nijigasaki, but that is neither here nor there.
Yeah, but it doesn't have Nina.
Okay, it has someone better than Nina, Mia Taylor.
It does have Mia Taylor.
And then you have
But
Kasumine.
yeah, but it's got Nina though.
But does it have Kasumine?
Yeah, but Nina wears the cute little outfits on her head. I think we're going on a tangent here.
Okay, but Kasumine has the epitome of cuteness on her side. And she has her little Minecraft Kasubox.
That's true. That's true. I own 100% of that one.
Exactly. Alright, well, thanks everybody for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed. Hopefully y'all agree with this list. Sorry about that little tangent there. But we'll see you on the next one. Peace.